You're a fighter. This isn't golf. Like, this is the fight game. I want Florian.
In the post-fight
this
interview,
stage.
I want Florian. That's the fight to make. So
It's easy to make.
it's easy to make. We've had everyone from Cristiano Ronaldo to politicians.
Who? Say that again.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Mouthpiece, the home of unfiltered boxing. This episode is brought to you by Boxing Boys. Boxing Boys is a 3D animated NFT collection made up of 5,005 unique boxing characters, combining the real world of boxing with the digital revolution through a play-to-earn game. Each boxing boy has its own unique skill set, and upon collection becomes a playable character. Right, before we do anything, I would like to congratulate us. Sky Sports and Boxart just put on a blockbuster bill in Cardiff. Viewing figures were outrageous. An average of just under 600,000 and a peak of over 1 million, and that is the highest for some time. Mace, monster weekend.
Massive week.
What a week.
Massive week. 3 new events added to the schedule. Open workouts. The final face-off, which I thought was...
That was good. And
sick.
that was, for anybody watching, that was kind of Mace's idea. Like, he was really pushing for it.
Yeah,
it worked. There was a big turnout.
Yeah. What was your highlight of the week? Do you have one?
Do you know what I thought was good? Yeah, and it's probably a part that nobody will really realize if you were watching it at home. But the atmosphere just before the fight happened, that when that big thing came on the screen and there was the guy talking about dragons.
It was sick. That promo was sick, innit?
Sick.
Yeah.
That promo, and then you hear all the Welsh crowd.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was like way more fans in there than there actually was. It was obviously a sellout. But that moment, it felt big. It felt like a massive moment.
It was crazy when that singer was singing Delilah as well, and all the crowd was going. It was beautiful in there. It was,
do you want to know
what an atmosphere?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know that song.
You never heard that song?
I think I've heard it. Yeah, but like, I was looking around and everybody was singing it, and I was like, where have I been?
Yeah, it's quite a big song. Song.
Yeah, no, it must be. Everyone else knew it.
Yeah, I think it's like a big Welsh song. Or it might be a
Welsh,
Tom Jones song, maybe.
It sounds about right. It sounds about right. Yeah, I think it is.
But yeah, that just teed up that, and then straight into the fight. You know, it was. But the atmosphere was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Massive. Should we go straight into the main event?
Let's go straight into the main event.
What did you make of it? I
was surprised by how good Chris Eubank was.
So he's got a lot of stick online. I don't think it's.
Do you think?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people slating him.
I'm seeing the difference between casuals and boxing fans. Obviously, everyone would want him to step on the gas when he's got it so comfortably, but I think the fact that it was so comfortable is what I was impressed with.
Yes.
It was the fact that was, for a lot of people thought Liam Williams would, put a dent in him. And he did land a couple of right hands down the stretch, but at no point did Eubank look worried or flustered or out on his feet or tired or just, uncomposed. He looked in control for that whole fight. So that was what surprised me. I actually thought Williams would stick it on him, and I think he tried to, but when you get caught running onto a jab, your game plan has to start changing, because all of a sudden you're just like, oh, my plan was to hurt you, but you've just hurt me.
I mean, it's the classic quote of everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
It.
Yeah, that first round, I can understand if you're off balance and you walk onto a jab, but it happened a couple of times throughout the fight. But yeah, I think taking those shots early on just affected Liam's mental game plan and stuff.
Yeah.
I think part of that just comes down to the weight cut. I think it's just too much for Liam.
He looked heavy at the
he was
the
massive.
Public weigh-in.
He was massive.
That's got to be a stone, right?
It was over a stone-ish. I think it was about 15 pounds in total from Tuesday, which is just an insane amount.
Yeah.
The cardio was there. Don't get me wrong.
No, he looked fit.
Liam's engine was impressive. He
and
was
you know what?
Strong for 12.
He gets hurt, but he's got so much heart and like almost recovery. Like he'll be bouncing around it after that. 10-15 seconds of him kind of being. You thinking one more shot here could do it. He's back. Yeah. So he has a very good recovery, but he does get hurt, And Eubank isn't known for his ferocious punching power. We know he's a spiteful puncher, but people haven't said that, he's not a one-punch knockout artist. He is a grind you down, sharp puncher. Every shot hurts, it looks like, but they don't necessarily put you away. I was very impressed by him. And I look at that middleweight division now, and I see fights that I genuinely think he could win stylistically.
What do you think is next? Let's say what's next for both, but let's start with Chris.
I'm not sure. I think that's your step. We said it before, the fight.
Yeah.
The winner moves on, world honors. All the belts are split in the middleweight division, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
I think it's Murata,
Triple
Andrade, Triple G, and Charlo. So you'll get a shot at one of them.
Yeah.
It looks like he wants you, Triple G.
Yeah, he's wanted Triple G for years, isn't it?
That's the one I would stay away from.
I know. I think he's ranked highest with whatever belt Murata's got, just because I went in the camp video that we went and filmed. That was the one that he was calling for based on rankings and stuff.
Yeah.
WBO maybe. I'll double check that, but yeah, I mean, there's 4 fighters really that have come about. Triple G and Murata, who he's always been calling for.
Yeah.
Conor Ben's had a little pop at him.
He has.
Said at a catch weight he fancies his chances. And then Billy Joe Saunders has piped back up. That would be. I would love to see the Billy Joe fight.
There's options.
The Billy Joe fight would be crazy.
The Billy Joe fight would be crazy. I do think that at this moment in time, Eubank has the momentum and the advantages. And then pair that up with the fact that he's notoriously a slow starter and he got a good few knockdowns in the first few rounds.
Yeah.
So I think if he starts fast against Billy Joe, he beats Billy Joe.
Yeah, potentially. Just to confirm that, yeah. So WBA is where he's ranked most highly, is with Murata.
Yeah.
That's if he wants the world, which I think at this stage he probably does want those world honors. It's the one thing that's keeping him in the sport. I think if all else fails, then you have got that Billy Joe fight. But if Billy Joe comes down to 160, which he said he would, I think you've got a similar situation where it's just someone that's going to be cutting way too much weight down at 160. Eubank makes that comfy all day long. He looked great at 160.
Yeah, he did.
Even on the scales when we had that the official weigh-in at 1 o'clock, wasn't phased by it at all. Versus Williams, his eyeballs and his cheeks and everything sucked down, and like he's not a 160 fighter anymore. I don't think. But yeah, I hope Chris does get that.
It has to be world. It has to be world honors.
He's proven that he is at that level.
Definitely.
He gets a lot of stick though. I've been reading a lot, and I don't know if it's.
I think he rubs people up the wrong way.
I think it's the brashness, maybe outside of the ring, but in the ring as well. The showboating and the taunting. But do you like that?
I don't mind it. It's showmanship. You're not just fighting Liam Williams. You're fighting the entire crowd as well. You know. And if someone does lunge in and you do the bull matador thing, it makes for a show. You know. What did people want? He was comfortable.
Yeah.
He was comfortable.
Yeah.
Some people don't like that. I don't mind it. I think if you're gonna do stuff like that, you have to win the fight, and he did.
I mean, he did also confirm that he had an injury, that he hurt his hand in after the third or something.
Yeah.
So you can kind of understand as well, you know, him wanting to maintain the distance a little bit, showboat, just taunt him a little bit. Maybe that even shows the confidence he has to be taunting Williams.
I see nothing wrong with that. I see a lot of people criticize people for going 12 rounds when they can kick on. I think it's tough to go to 12 rounds. If you think you can get someone out of there in the fourth, why would you want to do the 8? You know, the extra 8. I think he took his foot off the gas, but I think it was by design. I don't think Liam Williams made him take his foot off the gas. I think he just thought, no, this is actually quite easy for me. If a knockout comes, I'll take it. But I'm not going to go looking for it and make it more of a 50-50 than it needs to be. So for me, I think he fought the correct fight.
Mm-hmm. Is there an issue that Roy Jones has maybe taken away some of that killer instinct?
Well, when was it there? Because this is what people are saying.
I think like the Avni Yildirim knockout comes to mind. There's a few others where he really lets his hands go but maybe that comes with the maturity and you know, not wanting to risk it at world stage and learning to, you know, when to throw the heavy punches but when to use the art of boxing and such.
I think it's also a fact of like, well, he was doing that with Morrison. He was throwing punches and bunches. Even when he throws them and lands 5 of them, it's not like the guy's completely out on their feet. Yeah. He breaks you down, and if he feels like somebody, he can feel these punches on the end of his knuckles. He can feel the vibrations. He knows the exact impact is coming. He knows if somebody's completely gone and you could take them out right now, he'll take them out. But if there's still a little bit of life in there and they can swing something over I think he's just become slightly more risk adverse. Yeah, I don't mind it.
I think the main thing that stands out for me in that fight was his timing and his distance control. He seemed very comfortable in there the whole time. I mean, he said before as well that the mindset going into it, whether it's boos or cheers, he's going to use that to his advantage, and he was definitely getting booed. I've not really seen a crowd like that. It was
Yeah, that was
99.9%.
You don't get that here.
Nah.
You don't get that. Not when you get two British fighters fighting each other. It's very rare.
Yeah.
You get a 99.9% crowd. It's usually split. But he doesn't mind that. I think he relishes it.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what he's become now. Like somebody that'll go to your own backyard and beat you. Some fighters have that as their identity. Usyk has that as his identity. He'll go to where you are.
Yeah.
And beat you there. He'd actually rather that than fighting you in Ukraine. So, yeah, all I can say is I was impressed. I was impressed in spurts by Liam Williams because he was brave. I think he started to try and press the fight in round 7, and when you know you've been hurt in the first 4, I think that takes a lot of balls.
Yeah, full props to Liam Williams. Yeah, he didn't stop for the 12 rounds. When he went down in the first, I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking, oh my god, it's gonna be an early night. He's going to go in like this round or the second or the first. He got knocked down in each of them, I believe.
Yeah.
I was worried, and then fair play to his heart and determination. He just didn't stop for 12 rounds.
Yeah, he just didn't stop, and that's the thing. That's what Eubank will know. Like, he'll be able to sense that as well. He's not ready to go yet.
Yeah.
The crowd have still given him a bit more. Like, he is not ready to go.
Yeah.
So I was impressed. I was impressed with Eubank. For me, that's his best performance. Yeah. Given the opponent. Yeah. That's his best performance.
Occasion, everything really.
And where they are, I would. You obviously have to give him credit for the DeGale fight, but I think it's well documented. DeGale was done by then. This is a live Liam Williams. Probably in the best part of his career. Whether he's on gone on the other side of the hill yet or not, we'll wait and see. But you're fighting a live opponent, a super live opponent in his backyard, and he believes he can win. He all week he didn't show a tiny bit of break. Liam Williams is like, I'm gonna smash him to everyone. Even if he was sitting down with him at breakfast, whatever it was the same Liam Williams. He believed he was gonna win that fight. Yeah. But Eubank just showed the difference in class. I guess he was just a level above.
Sticking with Liam, what do you think is next for him? What would you do if you're his manager? Even maybe if you're him, but just in general, what would you do if you were Liam? I think
it depends on his aspirations and what he thinks. So, for example, there's at 160, there's still good fights out there. You've got the winner of Udofia and Bentley. Yeah, could go back and then win if you can prove that you're the best domestically, you get your next shot again.
Yeah. Felix Cash is there.
You've got Felix Cash. So you've got options. It's just whether he wants them, because he's been operating at fringe world level for the last bit of his career. Is he willing to go down and prove himself at European domestic level to make that step back up?
Part of me would call for him to go up to 168 because he would make. I think he'd be very fitting to his name. He'd be a machine at 168.
Is he big enough? That's I've got a feeling he makes 160 because of his dimensions. Eubank looked the bigger man. Yeah. And Eubank doesn't look small at 168, but he's not a giant. Yeah. I think it's the fact that he hasn't got particularly long arms. Yeah. He's not particularly tall at the weight, but he's a stocky boy.
We see his style though. He likes to get very low and he'll bob and he'll weave. And I think if he's a bit more punch resistant, then it could work in his favour. But just looking at the rankings, he is actually ranked inside the top 10 in 3 of the governing bodies. So he's ranked number 7 with the WBO. Yeah. Where are we? Number 6 with the WBC and number 6 with the WBA. So he's still right up there. Yeah. I would assume these are updated straight away. So either way, he's still going to be in and around those top 10 spots in 3 of the 4 governing bodies. So there's probably not an argument as such to move up.
The thing is, look at the boys at 168. There are some big punches.
Yeah,
there
is.
That's the thing.
There is. 168 is a beast of a division.
Punch resistance is one thing. If you are not taking shots particularly well at 160, fair enough, it might be the weight cut. But chances are you'll be hit by some real stingers at 168. There's some big punches there. Yeah.
But the domestic scene isn't super stacked. You've got Lerone Richards.
Yeah. That's a tough fight for anyone.
You've got Callum Smith. Yeah. There's 2 other guys knocking around that scene. Where are we? Super middle.
Don't know why they've put Lyndon Arthur in there.
John Ryder. That would be a good fight. Yeah. Lerone Richards, Zach Parker.
The thing is that there's not enough.
There's maybe
super
not enough
middles in Britain. That's why you're seeing probably a few middleweights in there Yeah.
Yeah.
And light heavies.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it depends on what his aspirations are, really.
Yeah.
If the fire's still there. It's a hard one for him. It's a tricky decision when you come off a loss like that.
But this is boxing. Any of those crossroad fights, they are like that. You know, if you get beat, it almost feels for a week or so like the loser has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
But you have to drop down, lick your wounds, beat the boys that's down there now, prove that you're still competitive at that level, and then you can come back up. It's just the rite of passage.
Yeah. Great fight though. The atmosphere in there was it was good. Yeah, the fact it was 5,000-6,000, it felt like so many more. Yeah. It was absolutely rocking in there. Should we move down the card?
Let's go down the card.
So Clarissa Kozin, what was your thoughts on that fight?
I thought Clarissa dominated.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing the same kind of reaction for Chris Eubank as I'm seeing for Clarissa Shields. Yeah. Why didn't you close the show? Oh, someone's got no power. It seems sometimes you can put on because she didn't lose a minute of a round. Nah. She probably didn't lose 10 seconds of a round. She won every minute of that fight. She was dominating combinations, head movement, she had everything, except the knockout. And some people, that's all that matters to them.
It does. Do you think she was going for the stoppage? She's saying she didn't.
I think there was a couple of moments where she tried to get the stoppage. I saw her kind of push Kozin into the corner and try and unleash a flurry, hoping the ref will stop it. But Kozin's tough. You know, she holds her feet on the ground, which means that she will take these shots. Yeah. She's big and strong. You can't stop everyone. Yeah. People's criticism would be like she doesn't stop many people at all. But when you're that good, neither did Mayweather. You know, maybe on his way up when his pretty boy Floyd was stopping him. But the Floyd that most people remember, the most dominant Floyd, went 12 rounds every single time. Yeah. And some people were moaning about it then, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. You have to win and win convincingly. That was the most dominant performance of the night probably. And that's against number 3. You know, that was number 1 against number 3. And the golfing class was ridiculous from the word go.
I thought Kozin started well. That those first couple of minutes, she was sharp. She was trying to set up some feints and she was twitching and she was looking good. But in that southpaw stance, she was just too square on and was just leaving herself open to too many right hands. Yeah. And with someone with such strong ring IQ like Clarissa, it's just an easy night's work for her, isn't it?
It was too easy. It was too easy. After that everyone shot first minute, and then someone lands a shot and you realize, and everything just changes. All of a sudden, Clarissa's confidence is up. As soon as she got her right hand going, it was game over. Yeah. Like it was just you couldn't see any way back into this fight for Kozin. I can't think of one notable shot she landed.
No, there was nothing.
There was a headbutt. Yeah, we'll give her that. But yeah, there really wasn't much, you know. And it was a dominant performance. In many ways, she is like the opposite to a Savannah Marshall. Yeah. She is Savannah can box, obviously, but she's not as fluid as that. It was quite Mayweatherish in how she attacked that fight. And you always get the best fights when it's boxer versus brawler, or at least the most interesting. Who gets to fight the fight that they want to fight? Yeah. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Ben gets in the middle of them after, and he doesn't do Clarissa any favors, but he shows what side he's on. You know, he said, you know, I'm backing Team Savannah. I like it. I don't mind it. It's ballsy.
Yeah, it was. That got very, very heated, very, very fast. Yeah. I was impressed with the way Savannah sort of kept her cool and was very plain faced and just, you know, I think the opening line was, if you perform like that, I'm going to wipe the floor with you. She was throwing, you got pillow fists. You just went 10 rounds with a child. All these different things, and you know, I mean. Yeah, it's when after seeing both, we've watched them both ringside now within the last couple of months. Does your prediction change at all since seeing them both live?
I'm not good at predictions at the moment because I thought that Liam Williams and Eubank would be a 50-50-ish. I thought there'd be a row. I thought they would go back and forth. It didn't go forth enough. Yeah. I would lean towards Savannah because I like her ability of boxing. I like her boxing ability, but I also like her her punch power, I think that can change. It's a game changer.
She's just an anomaly in the sport, isn't she?
There's just no women that can really punch like her. She hits and it hurts.
Yeah. There is a running theme in the women's sport where you've got a lot of slick boxers now. Don't get me wrong. Like the women's sport is progressing super, super nicely, but Savannah's an anomaly where she's a really slick boxer. She's super smooth and fluid and just great with her movement, but she's got proper stoppage power, and it's not towards the end of the fight where a fighter's knackered and they sort of just get stopped. It's in the early rounds. We see she dispatched of Lolita Mazea in the second or third round, so she can get that going early on, which is something that not a lot of women can do. So, and she's just so much bigger, so much taller, so much stronger.
It's all of that.
She's so much bigger than Clarissa.
Yeah, you have to lean to. I mean, look, there'll be people that disagree, but I have to lean towards Savannah because of the size. It's not just size.
Yeah,
you know, sometimes you get size against power, but when you've got size and power on the same side, and then you've got slick and boxing on the other side, but there's enough boxing on this side as well. It's a tough one to call. It is a 51-49, but I'd lean definitely towards Savannah Marshall.
Yeah, she's got an 81% knockout rate, which
crazy.
is very, very, very rare in women's boxing. 9 knockouts in 11 fights. So it's different. It's different. It's Golovkin. This is Golovkin stuff. It's tried and tested. I mean, her first fight and then her fourth fight, she went the distance. Yeah. And apart from that, she's been getting knockouts and TKOs, but it's still a stoppage, left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
She, as we know, is fighting Femke Hermans next. That's going to be a great fight. Tickets are now on sale for that. So head over to boxer.com for that. March the 12th, I believe it is.
Yeah.
March 12th, that's going to be sick. We're up in Newcastle. But yeah, all roads are leading to this Undisputed. Just a quick fact on Emma Kozin, actually. Did you know she couldn't speak until the age of 13? She didn't speak. She didn't say a word. Spencer Oliver told me this on Fight Week.
That's crazy.
She didn't speak a word.
Yeah, I've heard some stories. I didn't hear that one. That's crazy.
And then she was put into a boxing gym to basically help build up her confidence and stuff. And then over time, whether she went for therapy or whatever it was, but she didn't say a word until 13.
Amazing, man. Look, like she's just co-headlined. At the Motor Point in Cardiff. That's it. What a massive achievement. But this is boxing. It has a lot of sad stories, but it has a lot of beautiful stories. People that have come from nothing. Well, it has loads of them. Like people that have come from nothing or were out on their feet, down on their luck, and then boom. Like you walk into a boxing gym and your life just changes. Yeah.
What did you make of Shield's aura all week? I thought it was very impressive. It was cool to see in person.
She's a star. It was cool. She's got that thing. She wants. Like, I know these cameras are here. I may as well give them something to look at. She literally has that star quality, where only a few fighters have it. Literally only a few. People that can like have the crowd on strings and have the media on strings and hanging on to their every word, because even if she doesn't say anything, she'll go to a weigh-in or a workout in red slippers, and punch in red slippers. She has that thing that draws people to you, or at least it polarizes you. There will be a lot of people that don't like her attitude and think that it's cocky and it's arrogant. But either way, that's what star quality is. You just gotta watch it. You have to watch it.
Yeah, she's a superstar in her own right, isn't she? Yeah. I like that brashness. It's the fight game. You're allowed to. You should have a bit of an edge about you.
You're a fighter. This isn't golf. Like, this is the fight game. And this is why I always say to people, boxers, yes, they are role models. But when it's all said and done, their nature is to fight. Yeah. Don't expect them to do beauty pageants and like be all for world peace every day of the week. Their nature is to fight. So don't be surprised when you get a bit of brashness, when you get a bit of arrogance, when you get a bit of rudeness, a bit of violence, a bit of pushing and shoving. Like, you can't be surprised by this. They are fighters. So.
She spoke really well in the press conference as well. You could tell there's just she's used to the big lights. Yeah. She's used to the big stage. She knows when to turn it on.
This is still arguably one of the biggest stages that she's been on, because that was a very, very well viewed show that we just had.
For her across the world, it was pay-per-view in the US.
Exactly.
She's Sky Sports co-main event on a Saturday night.
It's big. It doesn't get bigger. Right. All the attention. We are streaks ahead of America and probably the rest of the world when it comes to women's boxing. That will probably have been her biggest performance, biggest date, biggest amount of eyes on her, and she impressed.
Yeah, definitely a great fight. But the best fight of the night, I did call it. I want to take props.
As well.
I wanted to, yeah.
Did I call it?
No, you said Eubank Williams for
Did
fight
I?
of the night. Yeah. George, you can play it back now. The English title between Samuel Antwi and Conor Walker.
Fight week. I definitely said it though.
Okay.
In Cardiff,
well,
I
on
said
the pod, I'll take credit.
You went first.
What a fight!
It's always going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I saw it's a good story actually. I saw Conor's brother in the crowd, and he was with Conor's dad, and he was just like, Conor's dad was really, really nervous, like as you would be. You know, your son's about to get in the ring and fight, and it's a tough fight. But his brother was really like calm about it. I was just like, listen, that fight is gonna be the fight. Like I know it. That's gonna be a good fight because it's English title fight. Two fighters at pretty much the same stage of their careers. Conor's coming to win it. He's had a lot of support from Wolves, and then you've got Samuel, who is the English champion, but he looks quite composed, and he looks like some fighters win a belt and they become a champion after they win the belt. You know, they grow a couple of inches, all of a sudden they feel like a champion. Yeah. And Samuel, I think, even though there was an argument in that fight, definitely there were times where he was hurt. He oozed a composure that that you get once you become a champion.
Yeah, it was. It was just a brilliant fight from start to finish. Yeah. There was that little bit of needle after the second round, I think it was, or the first round,
where they hit each other.
Both hit each other. It's always good to see in a fight. But yeah, I mean, as we said last week, that stage of your career is when it starts getting real. And when you talk about growing into a champion, he said he wants. We asked him in a post-fight interview, like, what is next for you essentially, and he said, I want titles or I want Florian Marku. Now, I don't know if Florian being Albanian, he can't get any of these English titles and stuff, can he? He can't pick up anything domestically. So I think he said, he wants titles and or Florian next with the whole Sky connection and stuff. So that's maybe a fight that we look to make, and obviously the title just wouldn't be on the line. But
that's a brave man.
I know. I want
Florian.
In the post-fight interview, I want Florian. That's the fight to make. So
it's easy to make.
It's easy to make. We can do a deal.
That's
Ben,
easy.
John,
we can get that done.
Dave Caldwell, let's make it happen.
When it's all said and done, I like that from him. But my is that ambitious, because that's. But he's obviously seen something, you know.
Yeah.
Florian's just gonna moved, and he's with his new trainer. Interesting.
Yeah, that would be.
Florian. The thing is, Florian's now got to that stage where he's looking up at the fights that he wants, but people are looking up at him and being like, I want him because he's obviously getting a slightly bigger profile. He's got a lot of fans. So beating him is a very good name to have on your resume. Brave move. I like it.
And obviously the British champion is Eku Usman. Yeah. That would be a great fight if it does happen. Yeah.
And you know what? He's from Botswana. There's only one other person that is from Botswana in this world.
Who's that?
It's me.
Is it really?
Yeah, my mum's from Botswana.
So you're a big supporter of Echo then, yeah?
Big one. That's crazy.
Yeah, that'd be a great fight as well. Yeah. That would be a great fight.
The thing is, that division domestically is actually quite tough.
Yes.
There's a lot down there. So, and then you look at Chris Jenkins. He's just come through against Ndongo.
Yeah.
That was a great. And I thought he looked good.
He did look. I thought he looked good
because I wasn't expecting Julius to look so good, and he looked quite sharp. I thought maybe age would really catch up with him.
He looked sharp.
He looked good. Yeah. Both of them looked good. Chris Jenkins was going to the body. He looked good.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Again, in front of the home crowd, you can just really use that to your advantage, and it really riled him up. Great win for him. I wonder what's next for him as well. But
so basically, these all want to fight each other, and they're all boxer fighters, and they're all on our cards. So eventually, I guess the smartest thing to do is to move people up the rankings slowly. Let these fights marinate. I'm sure Florian will not be chomping at the bit to fight either of them because they will provide little reward, you don't get much ratings, or you don't get moved up the rankings. You're not beating somebody that's above you in the rankings, or particularly as he's not ranked.
Yeah, domestically. So Florian has the the Intercontinental, was it? No, the international that he beat that he won against Maxim Prodam on the AJ card. Maybe he isn't looking at that domestic scene so much. He's probably looking for world honours or European and
you go European.
He will be looking world
he'll
as
be
every
looking
fighter
up,
does.
and everyone's now looking up at him and being like, all right, he's that gap between. Yeah, but when you look at 147 world level, it's just it's crazy up there, really.
It's insane.
And then when you look at what happened overseas, you know, when you look at Keith Thurman, who was for a little while the guy at 147, and he seems to have fallen a little bit off a cliff, and now no one really knows where he is. And he had a performance against Barrios was a little bit underwhelming.
It was okay. He just shows that vulnerability of getting hurt to the body, or he doesn't hide it so well. But as you said, I mean, he was one of the best in the world. That 147 world team was one of the best. At one point you had him, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, Sean Porter.
And he still had all the peripherals. Like you had the Bertos were still floating around. You've got all the Guerreros. Danny Garcia's floating around.
Mikey Garcia. Pacquiao. Pacquiao handed him his first loss. He was undefeated until I think it was like 32-0 until he lost to Pacquiao, and then that was in 2019. He's not fought since then. Come back and got the win on pay-per-view. The pay-per-view model in the US is a bit crazy though, isn't it? It's
honestly, in America, everything is so split, and I can't quite understand how it works, but
obviously he is working towards Errol Spence, but he's got to get through Virgil Ortiz if he fights him next. But Thurman, I thought he fought a good fight, but I just wonder if it's a little bit too little too late at this stage in his career.
Probably is, but
to be at the world, like the top of the sport, like there's some killers at 147.
The thing is, 147, unless you are the anomaly called Floyd Mayweather, your age will begin to define you at some point. And you can't keep fighting at that weight forever, because the kids that are 23, 24, 25 that are 147 are sharp as a razor. And you just can't be that sharp at 39 unless you are Floyd Mayweather, or at 33, or at whatever it is. You know, he spent a lot of his prime, or what would be his physical prime, probably not fighting. So he has to find a way back somehow.
And then if Josh Taylor jumps up as well, if he moves up in weight at some point, honestly, you just add in another killer. He's 31.
Surely he's got to be looking at that move up soon, because
I think
not that he needs to.
He doesn't need to.
But he's accomplished everything at 140. He's 18-0, damn near the best fighter in the world. And there's very little for him to do. You know, at 140, unless somebody from 135 comes up and challenges him in an interesting fight. It looks like he would have to go up and chase the big boys at 147.
I think once you become undisputed, you've sort of ticked that box. Obviously he'll be making his defense against Jack Catterall. That's going to be a great fight. There's one although us being on the road gets tiring, and it gets, it's just a lot. Being in another city and seeing the home crowds there and stuff, there's nothing like it. Going to Cardiff, see the atmosphere all week at the final face-off as well. All the Welsh crowd turn out. They just turned up the volume in there, and it was absolutely rocking in there. We'll be going to Manchester and then on to Glasgow. Just 3 huge away fights for us.
It's a massive month.
A huge month. So sticking with welterweights, there was obviously a certain Englishman at 147 that called for a fight straight after Eubank Jr. Williams fight, and that was Conor Benn. He thinks that it's light work for him at catchweight.
See, in my head, when he tweeted that, I was thinking, surely not, because I just thought he was too small, and then I realised actually he's kind of big for 147. If you could do it at 154, 155,
I just wonder is not to cut you off, is Eubank going to drop down that far?
If he makes look, I think Eubank wants a world title. And he'll go and do that, and after a while, I think if they can build that fight. Obviously, it's different promoters, it's different everything, all of that. It's much more difficult than...
It could be built as a huge fight,
they're never going to get mandated for each other or anything like that. They're in totally different divisions. But as far as a legacy fight, it doesn't get much bigger.
When you talk about appealing to the next generation and the older generation, when you've got Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank Sr., that's one of the biggest domestic rivalries of all time. So when you then... If you were to get the two sons fighting each other...
That press conference would be a mess.
It'd be huge.
It would be crazy. Can you imagine Senior and then Nigel Benn.
I know.
On the other, you may as well put them on the same bill.
Yeah. Exhibition fight.
Yeah.
Imagine that. The press conference would be crazy. Chris is a great talker. Connor's a good talker. I wonder if that does ever get made.
Do you know what? They're polar opposites in the way that they talk and approach. One is, as if butter wouldn't melt, and the other is quite intense and it's just on you. I wonder if they'll get to each other just because of dad talk.
Yeah.
And eventually that's what's gonna come out at a press conference. My dad beat your dad.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And that's what it was. That's what it all stems from. I reckon. I would have thought it wouldn't be possible before, but I thought it wouldn't be possible because of Ben, not because of Chris. But the fact that Ben is tweeting that, leads me to believe that maybe he fancies it. Like he fancies himself against anyone.
He fancies himself against anyone,
and that's a big fight. And that's pay per view. That's pay per view. We'll win that purse bid.
Yeah,
and we'll get that Sky Sports pay per view. It has to be.
Sky will go full steam ahead for that one.
Huge fight. I like it.
Again, sticking with welterweights, actually. I mean, it seems like the welterweight scene again is just in hot topic. We've got next week.
Yeah.
Is Khan Brook. That's next week. All of a sudden,
I suppose it is next week. Yeah. Actually, yeah. 10 days.
10 days on Wednesday.
Yeah, 10 days. 10 days by the time this comes out.
Yeah. Correct.
Huge. Massive.
Yeah.
That is the big one. That's the one that everyone thought would never happen. I'm still unsure.
No.
I wouldn't know where to place my bets.
I think by next week, I'm filming with Kell Brook on the Tuesday of this week.
They're here, right? They're here now.
Yeah, I think Amir got back today on the Monday. And then I'm hopefully filming with Amir sometime this week as well. So that will allow me to be with them in person, really gauge them properly, see them in the flesh, make some decisions. But up until then, it's still such a 50-50 fight.
That's crazy.
I'm super excited for that one. 20,000 in the Manchester Arena. The atmosphere is going to be crazy in there.
Yeah, it's going to be. Everyone's going to be there. Like everyone.
We've had everyone from Cristiano Ronaldo to politicians.
Who? Say that again.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Exactly.
CR7 himself. Everyone in sport wants to come to that.
Yeah. Rumours that people are finishing off their work on Sky Sports, football pundits, and then they're getting on bikes and going straight to the venue. It's crazy. So that is gonna be the big one.
That fight week is going to be crazy. Obviously, we've started implementing new things like the open workouts.
Do you think they'll go for the final face-off?
I'm not sure. That's still TBC because there's a lot of politics that's coming into that with the rehydrations and the weight cuts and stuff.
Yes.
So I wonder if it will just, because part of the needle and part of the big announcement is you want to watch live if Kel makes the weight, how he's looking on the scales, all that. Obviously, this one was behind closed doors at the weekend. So we announced that, and then you see them face to face. So you already know what's happened. Yeah. Whereas I think this, where there's going to be so many eyes on it regardless.
You want to see if they make the weight and how they make the weight.
And how they look on the scales like that. Because, there's a big question around Kel getting down to 149. Yeah. Whereas obviously with Williams and Eubank, He'll make it.
Because he's never missed weight before in his career. So I know he'll make that.
So, I just wonder. I would... Look, the final face-off was such a success that I think going forward we are going to be starting to do it a lot more. Yeah. But maybe for a fight like this where there's a lot of anticipation around the weight making, that they might just keep one event.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. But no, that's going to be a huge week. Lots of good fights on that card. So we'll next Monday we'll do a full fight week special. We'll break down the full card. There's a lot more boxer fighters on that card as well, so we can really go in depth. Vidal Riley boxer debut, Fraser Clark full debut. Yeah, Zeems are back. Tasha Jonas world title fight. Brad Ray's fighting. Yeah,
it's a stacked card. It's a great card. It's a good card.
It's a great card.
A lot of names. I'm not sure if there's many 50-50 fights. But as a showcase, it's ridiculously good, man.
Yeah, maybe that Tasha Jonas world title.
Oh, fight. That will be. Yeah. Oh my gosh, she's jumping up. She's jumping up
3 weight divisions. I'm pretty sure.
Everyone, regardless, is just going to be waiting for the big one. We've waited for 5 years. Yeah.
And some probably.
We finally get our answer, or hopefully we do. Hopefully we don't get some kind of split decision draw.
Yeah. We'll keep that in the locker for next week. We'll do a full deep dive into that.
Yeah, next week we are breaking down how each of these fighters win these fights. Do you want to have a pick? Who do you want to beat?
I'll go with Amir. Or do you?
Okay, I'll go Brook.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
We'll do it. I'm excited for that one.
All week we have to do, we break down how we win this fight.
Okay.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to argue with you.
You should come to the shoots if you're free. You should come see them in
should.
person. We'll do some pieces of content there because that's the week to really make the most of it.
It's true.
We'll just get so much out of them. But yeah, I'm excited to see them in person. I feel like seeing Liam and although I say seeing them in person will help, I saw Liam and Chris both in person.
It didn't help you. It didn't help you. If anything, it makes it more confusing.
Probably made it more confusing. Yeah. So I say that, but yeah, I'm excited to go film with them, see them in person, catch up with them after their camp and stuff. We obviously saw them at the press conference, but the hard work is done now pretty much. They've got a week to tail off and then we're into fight week. But yeah, full fight week special coming next week.
There is no other boxing news, really?
I don't think so. I think, yeah, we've covered everything for the card. Tickets for Savannah Marshall versus Femke Hermans are now on sale, so check out boxer.com for that. And yeah, full fight week, Calmbrook special dropping next week.
That's it. This episode was brought to you by Boxing Boys NFT. We will see you next week. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff that you know you should be doing. And stay locked in because we're going to be dropping exclusive news on this podcast every week. Mouthpiece, the home of unfiltered boxing. This episode is brought to you by Boxing Boys.